Hi everyone. Today I want to share something that came up in conversation last week at a workshop that I attended. That came as a surprise to other folks who know a lot about Haskell, and so I thought I'd present it a little bit. Maybe you'll find it useful as well. So if we start up GHCi, we can query the types of different expressions. So I can say colon type, I don't know, 1 plus 1, and I get 1 plus 1's type, which is kind of bit big and confusing. So I can just abbreviate this with colon t, of course, and it doesn't matter what expression I put in here. I'm going to get this num a arrow a, and that's because numbers in Haskell, right, are overloaded. So that means that when I type the 1 literal or the 10 literal, then it can be int or it could be integer, it could be double. This is a wonderful feature, but it does mean that when I ask for the type, it's a little confusing. We also have a similar problem if I ask for the type of length. And I type the type of length in, and it's this foldable t and such. And so, you have a friend, and you say, "Oh, friend, come on over here. I want to show you Haskell. Isn't it cool?" And then you show them this, and then you have to explain lots and lots of stuff just to get through 1 plus 1 and define the length of a list. Very, very silly. So, what we have in GHCi is we have a not very well-known feature where if I use colon type and I say plus D, the D stands for default, it will default the type. And so we get nicer types like this. And I could also still abbreviate, so I can do colon T, whoops, no space there, plus D length, and that gets defaulted as well. So this is really nice. So I'll explain briefly how this defaulting feature is done. So every Haskell module has a set of default types that it uses for defaulting. And the way that we establish this is through the word default. I could write this in a Haskell module, but I'm just going to do it in GHCi right now. And then after the default keyword, then I can write a bunch of types in parentheses, and it will try these types in order. So we see above that my 1 plus 1 defaulted to integer. So if I say double integer in here, then what that means is that GHC tries double first. So now, if I ask for the type of 1, it'll say double, because that's the first thing in my default list. Well, this list can also contain defaults for foldable and traversable, not just for numbers. So that means that right now, actually, if I ask for what's the type of length, but I want to default it, I'm going to get an error because my new default list doesn't include any types that are foldable. But if I change this, I can do default double maybe, for example. A bit strange, but why not? So now if I ask what's the type of 1, this plus D, then I'm going to get double. And if I ask for what's the type of length, then I'm going to get maybe a arrow int. So probably not what you want to show your friend that you're just teaching Haskell to, but maybe you want to customize this for other reasons. The last thing that you might be interested in doing with this is making this the default. So GHCi might default by default. Again, this might be a little confusing if you're using this for teaching because your student won't be able to replicate, but perhaps you want to do this. So it turns out that GHCi has a command called :def, which allows you to define your own GHC operations. So let's just see what that looks like in the manual. So if we jump over here to the manual, so if we go into using GHCi, then let's see, there's a whole lot of GHCi commands. I definitely recommend reading through this section. There might be goodies in here that you don't know about. But if we scroll down, where is it? Here, def. And so def, we can define it with a name and an expression. And if we look carefully at the documentation here, this expression is a function of type string to IOString, which produces the actual GHCi expression that you want to run. So what I can do, and also in that documentation says if I use the exclamation point, I can actually override built-in commands. So what I can do here is, let's see, do I need quotes? No, I don't need quotes. I can say def type to mean, now this is going to be a function, so we're going to get in a string. So this is the string that comes after the word type. Well, what do I want to do with this? I want to build a new expression, and that new expression is, and I need to somehow override the fact that I'm overriding, so we can use 2 colons, it says right here, if you want to use a built-in thing, even if we've overridden it. So I want to use :type plus D, and then just append that string, whatever the user typed in. So hopefully that should work. Like that. Now if I say type of 1, nice defaulting. Type of length, nice defaulting. Does it still work with :t? It does. And so you can get this nice default behavior by default if that's what you want. Again, I think that might be a little confusing. I don't know if I recommend it, but it's pretty cool that we have the flexibility to do this. Anyway, I hope that this was interesting and useful to you. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.